Hey everyone, I have a sweet little creation to share with everyone tonight, and I'm super excited about this because I'm using a lot of old vintage red rubber woodblock stamps, which I love to coordinate in with newer ones and try to find ways to mix in the old with the new. But this is actually made of mostly older ones with a few new things mixed in. And really my goal when I was doing this is I wanted to use the older red rubber stamps, but I also wanted to kind of make it look vintage, but with some of the kind of trendy colors and trendy styles in the paper crafting world that are popular. And so I just really had a lot of fun making this. And what I was really thinking of when I was working on it is a little just a fun little gift for my mom for Valentine's is really what I had in mind. But my dad passed away a few years ago, so I didn't want to make something overtly Valentine for my mom because they were married almost 50 years when he passed away. And so I wanted it to be a little bit of pink, but have more of a spring love feel than just overtly Valentine's for her. So that was what my motivation behind this was when I was picking out what stamps I wanted to use. So this is it, and it's a little vintage note card set. And I'm going to untie it. I'm going to unpin this little safety pin to take the charms off so we can pin that back on when we're done. But I'm going to untie it, and I just took some ribbon and crisscrossed around the little note cards. And they're all the same design, just with different colors mixed in. And a white one. And I purposely left the center of these blank because I actually thought it would be perfect just for a little short note to someone as a gift enclosure, or you can use the back if you wanted to write a longer note to someone. So that was my reason for leaving the inside of these open and blank. But I just selected a few different pastel colors to make. And so this is what we're going to be creating. And I cannot wait to show y'all these because they use some old vintage stamps that I think you'll have fun with. And if you don't have these particular stamps, you can always look through your stash or use new ones that you have. And show you the little charms too. And we'll talk about how I made these to go on top. So put that there. So I'm going to put some paper down only because my stamps have ink on them. So the large stamp that was used is a old wood block stamp by Personal Stamp Exchange by PSX. And it is, let's see, it is K525. And it has a lattice work and a little bird and the little mailbox. So this is the main wood stamp that was used. And everything that is on this is this wood stamp. There's nothing extra added on the main design. Okay, so the other stamp that I used is also an old PSX. And of course, I think it is C2280. It's an old vintage watering can. And then I used a little bird right there. And it is PSX A1137. And I used an old vintage envelope with a pen with a little note in it that says Tiny Wishes of Love. And it is a PSX D3365. And I also used, let's see y'all, I used this stamp and it is an Impression Obsession. I don't have a number with it because it's just a cling on, but it is a tag. It's this one right here with little bird's nest in it. So that is that one. And just a tiny little, the only other stamp that was used was this tiny little one that says love, which is that. So only a couple of stamps were used, which I like. And if you don't want to make the little tag charms to go on top, you just needed the one stamp for this. So let's move these out of the way. Okay, let me slide these over. Let's talk about the start of the card. So the first thing that I did was I cut through a die cut machine some cardstock, and I will show y'all the die set that I used. It is a rectangle die set, and I used the two largest ones. So use this one, and I used this one, and it is a Sizzix framelit set by Stephanie Barnard, 561561. So that's the only dies that were used, were these two. So I cut the white with the larger one, and then all the colors, the pastel colors I used, I cut with the smaller die. So those are the two dies. So I did use, it's not the thick, heavy watercolor paper. It is, I'll show you. It is the mixed media, kind of a all media watercolor paper and coloring paper. So I did use it, which is a little bit thicker than regular cardstock, but not too heavy. But use whatever paper you have. But I wanted it to have a little bit of a texture look, which was my main reason for using this, because this particular paper has a rougher texture in appearance. So that's going to be our base. Now, I went through my pastel cardstock, and I just picked some pastel colors that I loved. As y'all can see in this, it's a green and a pink and a purple and a pale blue, and then a little bit different shade of green and a little paler pink. I tried to use a couple of different colors, and then just the white one there. And then I also picked a peachy color one, kind of a little bit of a yellow peachy color. And so I stamped two of these, and one of them I ran through the die machine. Now, if you watch any of my other videos, a lot of times I will use the Vintage Photo ink by Ranger, the distressed ink. And I use a lot of the times, I will use, let's see, I don't know where my ink pad is. I'll use the tea dye or the distress ink because I like the brown undertones. However, when I am using some of my older red rubber stamps, Personal Stamp Exchange, the detail on these, y'all, is just amazing. And sometimes I found that I don't love how the distress ink picks up some of the fine details. So I have a tendency to use this, which I love. It's by VersaFine, and this is just the Nocturne. It's black. It's a pigment ink, and this is the one that I use the most when I'm using my very, very detailed Personal Stamp Exchange or any of the older red rubber ones that are very, very detailed. So that is the ink that was used on all of these, was just solid black ink. So I did want to let y'all know that, because that's a little bit something different that I normally don't do with a lot of my creations. So just stamp it on the black ink, on your cardstock with the black ink. And then I'm going to use my Tombow liquid glue. And I am going to go around over the dots just very finely because you do want that seam to lay down on your card. So go around the edges and just use a light hand with this. And then I'm just going to dot this part because I don't want any glue lines to show, since it'll be a card you can write on. So glue this down. You just kind of tap it, and I'm going to hold it up for 1 second just so I can make sure I have it straight. Just tap it down. Make sure you get your edges to lay down. And I am going to get a little white index card to put over it to tap it. So I'm just kind of pressing it down so I've got a good flat card all the way around. All right, so let's talk about what I did next that I think was really fun on this one. In the past, sometimes when I've used this particular stamp, I have either tried to watercolor all of it or use colored pencils or Copics, and I don't mind doing that, but it is very time consuming because this stamp in particular has so much detail. So I was looking for a way for the beautiful artwork that is in this stamp to show without me coloring every part of the stamp. So I decided to go through and I just stamped the whole design on a couple of extras of all the colored cardstock pastels that I used. Just went through and just stamped. Okay. And the reason for doing that is I wanted to go in and cut out certain design elements in the different colors and glue it onto the project. So let's see, y'all, take this out. I went through and I just cut out of all the extra stamped images. These are some of the extra ones for the little tags. Let's see. I cut lots of the pieces, like lots of the mailboxes and the little roses. We'll use these for the tags in a second, so I'm going to stick them right there. But you can see I just went through and cut a bunch of the elements out in the envelopes. The mailboxes. And lots of the little roses and the flowers. And the envelopes. And so really what I tried to focus on was the bird. I cut extra of the bird, some of the flowers, the mailbox with the letters and the large letter, and an extra flower at the top. So those were the ones I tried to focus on. Now, here's the fun part to me, y'all. Take, after you stamp your image and you fussy cut out some of the extra colors, and just lay out how you kind of want your colors to work. So I wanted something down here to pop, so I did one flower. I stamped the bird, or sorry, cut the bird out, and I did watercolor the bird with some Marvy markers, just because I wanted the bird to have a very light, faint, sort of shabby chic Victorian look. So he is watercolored. So let's start gluing. I'm gonna glue him first. Let's see, y'all. Put a little bit of glue up here on the bird. Actually may have gotten a little too much, so let me use a paper towel. Take my finger, dot some of it out because I don't want him to ooze out when I put it on. And we're gonna glue the bird on top, like so. Okay, and you'll notice even when you fussy cut, it doesn't have to be exactly perfect when you're gluing it on, because the black lines kind of hide some of the imperfections. But just kind of start going through and piecing out what colors you want to use. So we'll do a white mailbox. Get the glue. And on this mailbox, I'm going to show you what I did to get the little gold heart. Go ahead and glue this on. So you can see the mailbox I cut out separate from the 3 letters that are in it. So glue this on. So you've got the start of your card. And if you'll see on the mailbox, the little heart, I took some of this, which is, it's the, let's see, the Nouveau drops, the vintage drops, and this is gilded gold, and it is a, not, it doesn't really have any, it's gold, and so it's metallic, but it doesn't have any glitter in it. So it dries up very flat, barely lustery, which I like for old Victorian colors. And so I just took, and for the mailbox, just put a little bit in the center, just put a little dot. And then because I'm working in such a small space in that heart, I just used my little tool that I use for everything and just kind of pushed it around by hand to fill up the heart space. And then of course let it dry. And that's how you get the little gold heart, which I just think adds a little bit of Victorian touch to it. So let's see, I'm gonna glue the purple flower on. Go around. And y'all, really what I love about sometimes paper piecing on some of these projects is once you stamp them, you can take these and sit at night, like if you're watching TV or just in some of your downtime, and just sit and cut out all the pieces. And you really don't have to think about it, and it's just very relaxing to me. Even if I don't always know exactly which direction I'm going with a project, sometimes when I start stamping and cutting, more ideas come to mind. So let's see, I think I'll glue a pink letter on and go around, put some glue on this. And you may have to keep tapping some of it down as it dries because the pieces are so small. They kind of want to pop up at the edges until the glue kind of dries for a second. And then let's see, y'all. And I do use my Sizzix tweezers for some of these because they are so small, they're kind of hard to pick up at times. There's a pink letter and a white one. see what other colors we have. Oh, there's a blue one. So we may do a blue one. Let's see, do I have a little purple letter already cut? Let's see, y'all. Yes, I do. Let's pick this up. And I just tried to mix the colors. It certainly doesn't matter what colors you use, but I kind of like to mix all the colors because it makes them pop more. So let's put the glue on here for the 3 letters. And let's do the purple one first. Glue that down. And then the blue one. And we'll just do the little white one at top. Now, if you wanted to color some of these instead of paper piecing, you can, but I just love how, especially with the black and on the black ink and with the detail of the personal stamp exchange stamp, I love just kind of paper piecing on these. So I want a little bit of color up here. You can see I just chose one flower at the top to add. So let's see what I haven't used. The pink one. Just do a little blue one or a green. Let's see which one I like the most. I can just cut that down. Actually, I think I'm going to use the blue. Put this on top, glue on top of your stamped image, and then just add your flower. Up at the top. Now, I had already trimmed the pink stamp part off of this one, the literal, like little postage stamp off. And so I'm gonna just leave that. Let's see, I might actually just go in with a little blue and color that for contrast. All right, so, and you can see how much fun it is to play around with all the different colors and the pieces you can cut. I just think it's so much fun. And you can even cut out a separate mail piece if you want for the mailbox where it says mail, and put that on. And add it. Let's add that little purple mail. Over top for some extra little contrast. And you end up with a really cute paper pieced stamp that normally, to me, when I look at it, I wouldn't have considered this as one that you could paper piece. But if you just take out a few of the design elements, then it does become a really sweet stamp to paper piece. So if you will notice on the lattice work, I tried to highlight a little of the white. So I used one of the little applicators and a chalky Versa Magic Cloud White. And I'll show you. I just used a little bit of ink and I just kind of went around, and it doesn't have to be perfect because I just wanted it to have like a little chippy white look. And I just hit some of it with white. Hold on, I got a little glue. So just go around. You could use colored pencils, or you could use a little bit of paint, but I just wanted a little smudgy, kind of shabby chic white look on this. Just hit it anywhere you want a little white to show on your lattice work. Then I used one of the Jelly Roll white markers, and I get these, you can probably buy them a ton of places. I get mine in a pack at Hobby Lobby. I think there's 2 or 3 in a pack for, oh, I don't know, maybe about $3 or $4, but they last a pretty long while. And so I just wanted to go around and just outline the edges with white. So it's not going to be really bold because it's on a pastel, but it'll show, and you can tell on the screen it shows, and it gives you the illusion of it being white even if it's not solid white. Gives you that illusion. So just follow the scrolls around. All the designs. And I just did the inside. I didn't really want to go over where the black line was, so I just traced the inside of the lines. Just go around. And again, in my mind, this doesn't have to be perfect because it's kind of, I'm picturing like an old garden with some peeled paint. It has a little Victorian garden look, a little English garden. So just use the white. Let's see if I missed any. I think I missed that and that. So look at that, y'all. And that was pretty fast. Did not take very long at all. And then you have a pretty array of all the colors. And if you don't want to use these as like gift enclosures or note cards, you could put envelopes with them, and it could slide down in a little envelope also. But for this, I just wanted them to be little note cards. So now we have a set of 8 sweet little note cards with a little Bluebird and the vintage tin mailbox and the letters. So let's talk about what was on the little charm tag that I had tied to the ribbon. I'm just going to put these up here. And talk about this. Now, you know, these little things, y'all, are just extra and they're fun. If you don't want to do this, you can always just take some ribbon and just tie it, and you still have a sweet gift without the extra. But I wanted to do a little bit of the extra. So let's retie this for starters, y'all. And I didn't want it tied exactly in the center because I wanted this to show. So I kind of tied it off center and up a little bit. So just tie a loose bow on here. Straighten your cards. Okay, so you can see I just pushed this up a little bit so it's not quite centered, so the mailbox will show and the bird will show. So I wanted to just have a little bit of extra, since it was going to be a gift, to tie on to, sorry, not to tie, but to pin on to the tied ribbon. So this is what I came up with. And I just wanted to use kind of some gardeny cottage elements. And so this is a tag, and it has this stamp on it that's the Tiny Wishes of Love stamp. And I did the same thing with this one. I just paper pieced some of the different elements in different colors. And then I used the little bird that I watercolored like a bluebird and cut it out and glued it on. And then one of the flowers scraps from the larger stamp I just glued here. And I punched a hole in the bottom and I tied a key on. And the key, y'all, this is a bag of keys that comes out of the paper crafting section at Hobby Lobby. And I don't know, you probably get about 30, 40 keys in it for $2 or $3. And they're little metal keys, and there's a ton of different shapes in here. And so I just wanted to tie that on there. And then this little tag is the bird nest from Impression Obsession. And I did the love word over top. And then on the back is the solid blue uncolored. And then the watering can, which is also the personal stamp exchange. And I just fussy cut it out. So that is the charms, y'all, that were on this. So let's kind of break these down a little bit. I just used some of the blue pastel cardstock, die cut out a tag, which this is a Sizzix, and it's just one I use all the time, so I don't have the package for it, but any sort of little die tag that you have will work. Got tongue-tied for a second and cut that out. And let's see. This is where I was saying I just kind of paper pieced. So there's one of the envelopes with this. And I wanted the paintbrush to be in a different color, as y'all can see right there. So I cut the paintbrush out of a different one that I stamped. And then I just fussy cut the paintbrush out. Just cut this out real quick. Then trim up where the little bristles are. I'm going to glue that on the bottom. So let's see. Put a little bit of glue on. Okay. And run another little bead of glue along the bottom for the paintbrush. Glue the little paintbrush on. And since this paintbrush is in white, I can take one of my markers and just color the different parts to the paintbrush. So I'll do a little pink handle. But whatever colors you want to do, y'all, it does not matter. Just color a few of the little design elements on it. And I do want the letter to be white, so I'm going to fussy cut out the letter. And don't worry about, it doesn't have to be perfect, because like I said, the black lines of the inked image give you a little bit of grace when you're paper piecing. So let's put some glue on it and paper piece a little letter inside the envelope. And then this is the little bird, and I just stamped it on some of the white paper. And I watercolored it with some of the the Tombow watercolor markers. And just fussy cut it out. Again, you don't have to be perfect. And this is also a way of showing you don't have to have dies for everything. I think sometimes I get so spoiled to thinking, oh, I can't use that. I want it cut out and I don't have a die for it. And this is a reminder that you can still use so many of your fabulous images that you don't have dies for, before dies became so popular and before they made dies to go with all the stamps. So I want the little bird to look like he's flying to the letter. So let's put some glue on him. Right. And then I'm going to use one of the smaller hole punches. Oh, you know what I kind of like, y'all? I kind of like not gluing the wings down on the bird all the way. I glued it down all the way on that one, but now that I see that the wings kind of didn't glue down, I kind of might just leave those bent up a little. So punch a hole in the bottom center. I can get my hole punch turned right. Just kind of eyeball it. And then I took some of my twine. Let's see if I can find the one I used. Just a second, y'all. Let me grab it. I used some of my thin, a little bit stiffer twine. Just cut you a little piece of twine. And I'm going to show y'all these keys. And this is something that I got at Hobby Lobby this year. So if you have one near you, this is something you can still find in their store. They have these fabulous little brass keys. So just pick one that you love. Let's see, I think I'll use that one. There's, oh gosh, probably about four or five different designs in here. So there's the long one, there's a little bit of a shorter one, there's one that has more of a traditional heart shape. And then there's a teeny tiny one. So there's so many designs, y'all, in this set, which I love. So let's put these back in here. And I love the keys because you can find so many different ways to use them and mix them in with your projects. For the mailboxes and for houses and little cottage designs, and certainly for Valentine's, like Key to My Heart and everything. They're just fun. So I'm using some of the smaller twine. But what I want to do because I want the knot to be sort of large to hold it. So I'm going to double it over and tie a knot in the end. Then I'm going to come back and do it again because I want it to be large enough that it won't slip through the hole. Okay. Whoops. Creating a disaster. Okay. And then I'm just going to trim these little tabs off a little bit. And run it through your tag. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the key. Well, no, I tell you what, I think I'll just knot this one. And then just decide how long of a little string you want for your key and tie a couple of knots in it so it won't fall through. So let's see, let's do at least 2. And we'll check it. I think that's good, y'all. Then trim this little part off. And you have your little tag with the key to the mailbox, which I just love. So that's this part of it. Slide that up. And then the next one I did, let's see, I'm going to move these over, was this one, which is this one right here. I just did it on the front and back. So I used this Impression Obsession stamp, and I just used the black ink, and I stamped it on some cream cardstock. Took some little blue markers and colored it in. And because my cardstock was kind of thin on this, that's the reason I decided to double it and glue it front and back. And you can see I actually love this stamp because it even already has the little tag hole on it. So glued those two together after I colored them. And I don't use it very often, but sometimes I do use it. And since I was using the metal element of the key, I used my crocodile to put an eyelet in it right there. And then I used some of the jump rings, and I'll show you the ones that I used. I used some of the Tim Holtz Ideology jump rings to put through my eyelet right here because I wanted it to dangle. So I used that. And then I just have a little random, and y'all, I don't even know what set it came from, but I'll show you again, a little cling stamp that says love, and that's what I used to go over that with. So that gives me the second part of the charm. And then this was my favorite part, is the little watering can, because normally I don't see the watering can and think, oh, that would make a cute little tag ornament, but this one for this particular project I thought was perfect. So I stamped the watering can on some of the white cardstock paper, just in the black ink again. And let's move some of this stuff over. And fussy cut it out. And let's see if I have it. There it is. So there it is, fussy cut out. And this is just where I was testing which color Copic markers I wanted to use on it. But this is what I wanted to show y'all. And if you've been paper crafting, this really isn't that great of a trick or a tip, but I do use it a lot. So if you're ever trying to get something started on the inside, if you're fussy cutting, I'll show you what I do. And I'm just going to quickly cut this out so I can show you the fun little trick. See. And y'all, this is, my family always makes so much fun of me because I'm actually left-handed, but other than writing and coloring, of course, I do everything right-handed. So I cut with right-handed scissors and everything else, but if I'm using a pen or a marker, you know, I use my left hand. But so I don't know if any of y'all kind of picked up on that in any of my videos, but I think it comes from, I was the only left-handed person in my family, and my parents and my sibling and everyone were right-handed. And so you learn by watching, and so I watched them do everything right-handed, and so I do everything right-handed except for right. So I'm sure that probably was interesting for my parents. They've said that they, tried to teach me how to do some stuff left-handed, and they were horrible at it, so they just gave up. But so fussy cut this out, and then this is the little trick I wanted to show y'all. If you ever want to get something started, just take one of your hole punchers on where you're trying to start and punch a hole in it, and that is the perfect way to get it started for you to go in with your scissors to cut. Sometimes, you can fold it or use an X-Acto knife or whatever, but if you have a way to use the hole punch, it is such a quick way to get it started. So just cut out the part where the handle is. And don't worry about it being completely perfect, because we're going to go over the handle with some accent, so it'll cover up any little imperfections in our cutting. So let's cut all the little pieces out. Cut this little bit. Right. Trim this just a little bit more so it's a little smoother. Okay, so I wanted to color this with a Copic, so I used just a blue Copic marker, and I just wanted a faint blue color. On it. Kind of go around. Let me trim that little part just one little bit more so it's smooth. It kind of gives you the illusion that the handle is perfect. Cut out, do that little part. So I did use two different colors on this of the Copics. I used a light and a little bit darker blue just to kind of give it a little highlight on some of the little parts that are shaded on the stamp. So, and then y'all, I used the Nuvo Vintage Drops, and this one is Earl Grey, and I went just around the handle. Didn't want to do all of it, but I kind of wanted the handle to have a little bit of a raised look, and I also kind of wanted to do this to smooth out the imperfection of where I cut it. So I did that, and it's just a flat gray. Again, no sparkly in it. But where the little spout is, of the watering can, I did want that to be sparkly. So this is a Nuvo sparkly, and it is glitter drops, and I don't know the color. It's just a sparkly silver. And I just did the top part up here with a little bit of silver. And that gives you the watering can, y'all. And I think it is such a cute little design element, and you can use it as part of your little hanging tags or tie it with a ribbon, but it's not something normally that when you look at this, you think, oh, I can, you know, dangle that. But if you look at it just a little bit harder, you can see, oh, this is really cute, added into a garden card. So that is the watering cans. And then let's see, y'all, I forgot to glue a flower on that tag where the bird was. So I need to go back and glue a flower on. And these are just some of the little roses from the original cutout. And I'm gonna put the watering cans over here to dry. Then show you the finished one. So that's the finished one. And let's glue the flower on. I think I'll just use a blue one. And you don't have to do this, but I think it kind of ties it together and it adds a little more dimension to your tag from it just being a rectangle tag. So I'm gonna just glue this right here on the bottom, and I'm gonna leave it overhanging. So how cute is this, y'all? So this is like the little key to the mailbox is what I had in mind with letting the little key dangle. So then I'm going to show y'all how I clipped it all together. I used some of these little circle hooks. They're kind of like safety pins, but just a little bit different shape. I don't know why they're taped down. Hold on, get my tape up. And I get these, you can find them in sewing departments. These come from Hobby Lobby, and I don't know how many come in a package. Probably about 30 or 40, maybe 50. There's quite a few that come in several different colors. So you can see they're sort of like a safety pin. And let's see, y'all. What I did, so open this up, and you go in the order of first to last. So want the watering can on first, and then I want the little tag, it says love on it. Then I want the bigger rectangle tag. And then close it up. Now on this one, I did tie a little blue ribbon around it, but you don't have to. And on this example one, I'm probably not. But I did on that one. And then in order for this to clip onto the ribbon, I took a teeny tiny paper clip and added it, not paper clip, sorry y'all, safety pin. I don't know why I had paper clip on my mind. And added it through this part of the circle pin right here. So open it up and then just slide that through your crinkle ribbon. Then you have your little charm tags clipped on. And your little key dangling. So y'all, how cute is this? So fun. And it has so many little design elements. To me, that's what's fun about this, is it all kind of goes together, even though it really wasn't a stamp set and they weren't intended to ever go together. I kind of made them go together, and that's what I like, and what I encourage you to do as fellow crafters is kind of look around and say, okay, well, this isn't really Victorian, but how can I add this in? Or the watering can doesn't really go with this, but how can I kind of color it or make it kind of go with the thought of a little English garden? So that was what I had in mind with this. And the only other thing I wanted to show y'all is about the ribbon. And if you've been paper crafting for any amount of time, I'm sure y'all know this trick, but I wanted to show you. Several years ago, I bought a roll of this off of Etsy, and it is seam binding, and it's 100 yards. I mean, and it was already green, and I love the soft pale mint green. And so cut some, and I'll just show you if you don't know this trick. Now you can get it, and of course, you know, dye it yourself and everything, but I just love the mint green, so I just got some that was already green. Just gonna cut a little piece. And it comes in so many fabulous colors, but I'm gonna trim this up a little bit. Let's see. And then my little water mug, my little water cup that I use at my craft desk, just put it in, get it wet, squeeze your water out of it, and leave it crinkled up. And take a rubber band, and this rubber band's kind of big because I usually do larger pieces of ribbon, but leave the rubber band on it, just all in a tight little ball overnight. Okay, and if it's still kind of damp, or if you don't want to leave it overnight, you can use a blow dryer or a heat gun. And the next day, when you take it out of the rubber band, you have the little crinkle ribbon. And so that's how you get to that. And I'm sure many of y'all already know that, but if you don't, and I'm sure there's a ton of ways to do it, but this is how I do it. It's just with rubber bands, and I dip it in the water and let it dry overnight. So put this over here. So y'all, that is my project to share with everybody tonight. And I hope this inspires you to kind of dig through some of your old treasures and old stamps, or go looking for some of the old stamps at thrift stores or online, and kind of look at them in a new way and have fun creating with them now. And kind of think of different ways to use them. And that was really what I was having fun with this, is just trying to think of different things that I had in my stash and in my collection that I could add in a new way and use this stamp. So thank everybody for watching, and this is it. And I wanted to show y'all this too, because I know, as I told y'all, I was going to give this to my mom, and I know how she is. My mom may or may not use all of them, and I really thought it would be really sweet sitting on top of a book, like on her little secretary desk. So I wanted to show y'all this. Look how cute that is, just on top of an old book, y'all. I think it's a extra sweet little design element. All right, y'all, have fun creating and crafting.